Well, let's go to Chargers. Cowboys, Colin. Interesting game on Sunday. Very nice win for Justin Herbert and company. I was blown away by Herbert's movement in the pocket, just shredding this terrible secondary, despite not having his tackles. I'll get to that momentarily. But you know who loved it even more? Jim Harbaugh. Listen to him gush about Herbert.
Justin Herbert, was, as far as quarterback performances go, that was a Picasso. Just incredible play by him, and just dialed in, like he always is, though. I mean, it's that way every single week, with numbing repetition, how well he plays.
He loves his quarterback. Great place to be in the NFL. There's not many quarterbacks. There's probably, I used to always say, used to have this game, I'd say, there's quarterbacks where you pick up the phone and try to move them. There's quarterbacks, a lot of them, where you'll take a call on the quarterback, but you don't get on the phone to trade him. And then there's like 6 guys in the league, tops, you don't even pick up the phone. There's not a single player in the league Harbaugh would pick up the phone. There's not a single trade he would make to get rid of Justin Herbert. I mean, they are so simpatico, their relationship, like all Herbert cares about is football. Harbaugh is obsessed with football. That is a great head coach quarterback relationship.
Yeah, Colin, Justin Herbert's been amazing, and it's interesting because nobody talks about this, okay? When Patrick Mahomes loses his 2 tackles, he shrivels up and can't do anything. In the Super Bowl this season, both of Justin Herbert's starting tackles are on IR. He hasn't had them for weeks. He lost one of his tackles this week against the Cowboys. It didn't matter. I mean, listen, I'm not really comparing Herbert to Mahomes. Resume-wise, Mahomes has him by a mile. Herbert won't catch him. But right now, if you're asking me who's the better quarterback this season, it's not close. Justin Herbert has outplayed Mahomes, and both of them have been missing their tackle. So I don't want to hear it. No excuses, Mahomes.
How many quarterbacks in the league could take the beating Justin Herbert's taken this year? And I mean Josh Allen, maybe.
Herbert's also got the broken bone in his hand. Did you notice he went down against Dallas? He came up wincing, favoring it. And Harbaugh didn't care. He still called the tush push. Herbert runs it in. I was watching closely because he's my fantasy quarterback. Listen, I'm just saying, I'm not bashing Mahomes. People will take this the wrong way. But Colin, you and I watch football closely. Justin Herbert's been a mile better than Patrick Mahomes this year. And he doesn't have amazing skill position.
They were down to a 3rd-string running back.
Yeah,
they're really
they're
below average at tight end. So this is what we say. The difference between, there's a lot of levels of quarterbacks and tiers. The guys that can do it with an atrocious O-line and no run game for 6 weeks. And what are they, 11-4 right now? They should not be 11-4.
Now,
all right, folks. Fans of the Los Angeles Chargers out in San Diego and beyond, listen up. I've been championing this perspective since day one. I've been producing content all season arguing that Justin Herbert has performed significantly better than Patrick Mahomes when facing a completely compromised offensive line. The amusing part is how the conversation always circles back to career achievements, Super Bowl rings, accolades, and the like, as if those are the ultimate trump cards. That misses the point entirely. We're discussing a very specific set of conditions, and within those parameters, Herbert has unequivocally been superior. Justin Herbert has never, not even remotely, been equipped with a supporting cast as talented as Mahomes's, especially when you factor in coaching. So I've presented the figures, I've laid out the statistics, I've provided the detailed analyses. I absolutely need to create a refreshed piece on this topic. I'm determining the best approach because the current data set is shifting. Mahomes is now sidelined while Herbert is still playing. I might confine the comparison to the period when both were active. I'll need to work that out. It's a more substantial undertaking than it appears. When I construct those charts, those visuals, and those data tables, I'm the one aggregating all the information, ensuring its precision and coherence, and then building the entire case from the ground up. Currently, I'm fully immersed in a relentless content creation cycle. So frankly, I don't have the capacity for that deep dive at this precise moment. However, I am committed to producing an updated analysis. In my previous work, I examined a sample of 4 to 6 games where both Mahomes and Herbert faced the highest pressure rates. I contrasted that with Herbert's projected performance and measured it against Mahomes' output in ideal conditions, behind excellent offensive lines, with weapons like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. That video, if I may say, was a masterclass in breakdown. Honestly, it ranks among the content I'm most proud of this season. This is especially true given that analysts like Danny Perkins, I always blank on his name, Perkins, essentially validated my points. Now, figures like J-Mac and Kyle Cowherd are echoing the same sentiments. I was on this narrative weeks, even months, ahead of the curve. There's no question about it. None. This is precisely why the incessant focus on resumes and championships rings falls flat for me. It's a flawed comparison. What would Justin Herbert's numbers, stats, and resume look like if he had been leading the 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 Kansas City Chiefs? They would be utterly transformed. Anyone with a fundamental understanding of football grasps this. It's universally acknowledged. We have a perfect real-time case study with Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. Stafford spent, 12 or 13 years with the Lions? He reached the playoffs maybe 3 times and didn't secure a single postseason victory. Not one. He arrives in Los Angeles and promptly wins a Super Bowl. Now, a playoff berth is practically a foregone conclusion for him, health permitting. This clearly illustrates that coaching and roster composition matter immensely. Now, observe the level of success the Chargers are attaining. Their roster is still not elite, and they are ravaged by injuries. Their offensive line is, comically and almost hilariously, the worst in the league. It's absurd. Technically, Joe Burrow had a marginally worse line last season, but he at least had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to heave the ball to. Herbert lacks that luxury. To be equitable, Herbert has benefited from a better defense than Burrow did. But again, the sheer volume of hits, contact, and punishment Justin Herbert absorbs on every single snap is staggering. The fact that his performance metrics are even remotely respectable is a minor miracle. Honestly, if this quarterback were merely posting a 1.1 touchdown to interception ratio while taking a million sacks and getting pummeled weekly, everyone would nod and say, yeah, that tracks, understandable. But that is simply not the reality. To me, that discrepancy, his performance despite the circumstances, is the true accomplishment. It will be fascinating to see how they perform against this intense, formidable, violent defense. I might overuse violent, but this Houston Texans defense is precisely that. Absolutely violent. Therefore, this upcoming matchup is a monumental test to gauge what this Chargers offense is capable of. In many respects, I'm not overly focused on the Chargers defense for this specific contest. Of course, it matters in the grand scheme. But for this game, how the Chargers offense fares against the Texans defense will provide all the necessary intel. It will tell us everything we need to know about whether this Chargers team, constructed as it is with its decimated O-line, can legitimately embark on a Super Bowl run. Colin recently released his hierarchy, and I addressed it in a video, so check that out. He didn't rank them in the top 10, largely due to the injuries and the valid question of whether they can overcome such hurdles against elite playoff competition. I understand that logic. I really do. I've consistently stated that this team merely reaching the playoffs is the accomplishment. That's why I persistently challenge the narrative that Nick seems to be pushing. The idea that if Herbert doesn't win the Super Bowl, it's proof he isn't elite. That's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. If Justin Herbert, or Josh Allen for that matter, were to win the Super Bowl this season, it would stand as a greater individual accomplishment than anything any other quarterback has ever achieved. Mahomes, Brady, anyone. The rosters they are working with are several tiers below what Mahomes, for instance, has had throughout his championship runs. It would be an utterly insane feat. We cannot possibly argue that a quarterback is a failure if he doesn't succeed under circumstances where no other quarterback in the modern NFL era has succeeded. This game, however, will reveal a great deal because both teams are fully invested. This isn't a lopsided affair where one side might lack motivation. Both the Chargers and the Texans desperately need this win. The Chargers are still genuinely contending for the top seed, or at minimum, the division title. The Texans are solidifying their playoff positioning. We know how legitimate this Houston defense is. We saw what it did to Mahomes, to Allen, to Bo Nix, and the Broncos. This isn't to say Herbert must replicate his performance against the Cowboys. But if the offense looks competent, if they demonstrate viable solutions to the problems this defense poses, and I always emphasize solutions to the problem, it will build insane momentum. Even in a loss, if the offense isn't completely dominated by that defense, if it's clear they have answers for a great quarterback hunting defense, that speaks volumes. It goes an incredibly long way. So this game, right now, for the Chargers, is the ultimate barometer. It truly is. I'm focusing strictly on the biggest question mark. Can their offense hold up against a top-tier playoff caliber defense? If they can, playoff confidence will soar. If they can't, you'll be left scrutinizing matchups, wondering when the offensive line will finally break. A quarterback can only compensate so much. I am pumped for this game. I'm glad it's on a Saturday, too. This week's schedule is a bit different. I believe it's a 4:30 p.m. Saturday slot, hopefully with Tony Romo on the call. I assume so. Is there a better Saturday game that might get top billing? Possibly an NFC matchup featuring Brady, so maybe not. I'm hoping it's Romo for this one. I know some people aren't fans, but I personally love Romo, especially for analyzing high-level quarterback play. He excels at breaking it down. I'll be creating post-game clips and content as always. I do my best to get that done for Chargers games, and having it on a Saturday should make it easier. Be on the lookout. Hopefully, shows like First Things First actually cover the Chargers. They didn't yesterday. We'll see if they do today, tomorrow, or the day after. It often feels like when the Chargers win, it's ignored. When they lose, it's, see, we told you. I could go on a full rant about that, but I'll save it. I still recall Nick having the audacity to compare Herbert's first 3 games to his last 3 during the O-line collapse, suggesting he was falling apart. He also stated, give Patrick Mahomes protection and receivers he trusts, he's the best. Well, give Justin Herbert receivers he sort of trusts and 0 protection, and he gets the team to the playoffs. How about that? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Whether you agree or disagree, let's get some discussions going. Let's have some debates, but ultimately, let's have fun. Please consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd love for you to be part of it. I want to create something we all feel connected to, something we're genuinely excited about. I think we're well on our way. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.